Hi guys, welcome back to my channel For Your Hearts and Home. My name is Dee Dee. Welcome into my kitchen. Today, I would like to share with you a few things that I consider to be essential in thinking about the delicate balance of homeschooling and homemaking. As you know, we are a homeschooling family and we've been homeschooling our children from the very beginning. We have a 13-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 7-year-old. Balancing homemaking and homeschooling is a delicate act that requires patience, organization, and flexibility, and that's something we've come to learn over the years. I am a former educator, my husband is also an educator, and each day brings a blend of structured lessons and household responsibilities, making it essential to create routines that accommodate both. Mornings might start with prepping breakfast while discussing the day's lessons, seamlessly weaving education into everyday life. The challenge lies in maintaining a structured learning environment while managing chores, meals, and other household tasks. Without careful planning, one can easily overshadow the other, leading to frustration and burnout. I know when I first started homeschooling our children, I wanted everything done to perfection because that's my personality. But over the years, I've had to learn to let go. And for me, balance might look different than balance for others. Finding a rhythm that works for the entire family is really important. I know that some parents integrate homemaking into homeschooling by involving children in household tasks as part of their learning. Cooking becomes a math and science lesson, cleaning teaches responsibility, and grocery shopping can be an exercise in budgeting and critical thinking. I have come to learn that homeschooling is not just this one section of your life, it really becomes a lifestyle, and flexibility is so crucial. Some days may require more focus on schoolwork while others demand extra attention to the home. Adjusting expectations and being willing to adapt can make all the difference in maintaining balance. For me, ultimately, the goal is to create a home where both education and daily life thrive together. Perfection is unrealistic. I've really come to accept that, but prioritizing connection over perfection ensures a more fulfilling experience for both parent and child. Embracing the natural flow of learning within the home fosters a love of education beyond textbooks and worksheets. When homemaking and homeschooling are seen as complementary rather than competing tasks, they work together to create a nurturing and enriching environment. So when I recorded for today's video, I recorded during a typical homeschooling day. Usually I set aside one day per week where I do a full restock of what we need in the kitchen, usually after a big grocery shop haul day. But today I'm homemaking and homeschooling simultaneously. Now, the expectation for our children is that they're going to wake up between 7 and 7:30 in the morning, get themselves ready for the day, make themselves some kind of breakfast that was already prepped, and when they're ready, they will go to our learning table and start their independent schoolwork. My 13-year-old is very good at doing this. He will get up, he will get himself going, and with very little direction from us, he can get through his lessons for the day. My younger two need more direction and assistance with their table work, and so they might need more scaffolding throughout the day. My son has been doing this from the very beginning. He knows what's going on, he knows his expectation, and we have designed our school day where they have both table work as well as online work to do. So I use Gmail to log their digital work, and all three of them know how to log into their Gmail account and do their assignments for the day. So they need very little direction with that. Like I said, my two younger ones, they might need more support in that area. And so I give more support where it's needed. So at this point in the morning, they were at the table doing their independent work, and I was getting some breakfast going. I decided to make some cinnamon rolls, something I haven't made in a while, and I had already started my bread machine from about 6 o'clock in the morning because it takes an hour and a half for my bread machine to knead the dough and proof the dough. And I knew I wanted to make cinnamon rolls that morning and have it ready for breakfast time. So the dough was finished and I am now rolling it out and getting it ready for my cinnamon rolls. Again, I try to keep our kitchen stocked with easy breakfast items for them, but this was a day when there was nothing prepared, and so I wanted to make something fresh. If you're interested in a recipe for cinnamon rolls, I will include something in the description box that you can use for your family as well. So I'm excited to share that I will be posting a lot of these recipes that I use on a weekly basis or monthly basis on my blog on wix.com. So in the description box, I will have a link to my blog where I will share with you a lot of these recipes written out and the story behind why I use these recipes. I am working on loading all of these recipes up on the blog so that you can have access to them. I will have recipes for all my baked goods as well as a lot of the traditional Jamaican recipes that my family have come to love, and so recipes that I would like to share with you. In the description box, I will link the blog so that you can have access to these recipes. I'm also working on including recipes for freshly milled flour. As you know, this is something that I have embraced in the last 6 months or so, and so I'm in the process of converting my recipes to those that include freshly milled flour. So I'm just following along to complete the process for making cinnamon rolls. Once I've cut these rolls into the separate pieces, I'm going to put it on the back of my stove to allow it to double in size. At this point, my stove is warming up and coming up to temperature, and the heat from the stove will allow them to do that second rise and double in size. So I just put it on the back of my stove, cover it with a clean tea towel, and give it about 15 to 20 minutes to double in size. Homeschooling for our family was not an obvious choice. As far as I'm concerned, I was going to school, I got my degree, and I was working in a classroom as an educator alongside my husband. And though we worked in different schools, in my mind, I was always going to be a teacher, an educator. I enjoyed my job. But then we started to expand our family, and then it quickly became apparent that homeschooling was going to be the best choice for us. What we wanted to see in the classroom, what we needed from our teachers, what we needed from the learning environments were just not visible. And we made the decision that I would stay home with our children. And I will say I have never regretted that decision. I was there for all the moments. I was able to share that with my husband, and it's something that we have treasured over time. At first, it was overwhelming. I didn't know if I was capable of homeschooling our children. And at first, we didn't get that full support we needed from our immediate community. But my husband and I looked at each other and were like, this is what makes sense. This is what we will do. And while we might not have this huge welcoming community at this moment, we're going to stick with it. And we have been flexible about this decision. Our children know that if there's ever a point where they feel like they want to give public school, private school, any kind of outside schooling a try, the option is on the table. So this is not something we're forcing on our children. This is not something they have to do. But every year we sit down with them and we have a conversation, an open conversation about what is coming next and what they would like to do. And they get a chance to share their input. And they have chosen time and time again to continue on this homeschooling journey. And that warms my heart because I take everything that I do, whether it's my homemaking responsibilities or my homeschooling responsibilities, to heart. I really hold on to that and I really want to make sure that whatever I'm doing is not just for me, but it's really fulfilling for my family who I'm serving. And so I want to make sure that this is really what they want. And they have proven to us and shared with us time and time again that this is what they want to continue to do. So we've been on this homeschooling journey for a long time now. And my 13-year-old is, again, so self sufficient. He's able to get up, get to doing his activities with very little instructions from me. So I feel like the older they get, the more independent they become. And so the burden or the heaviness that I felt in the very beginning, where I almost felt like an octopus juggling all these different tasks, the load is lightening as they get older. And so it just proves to me and validates for me that we've made the right choice for our children and we'll continue to make that choice for them. And so I enjoy seeing that growth in them. I will say when we first started and we only had one child at the time, I felt isolated. I was a new mom and I didn't have a lot of support or other people who either looked like me or was making that same decision about life. And so I felt isolated in some regards. But I was so grateful to find this wonderful community of people who were like minded and shared similar values. And so that helped me through those first 2 or 3 years of making decision to keep my child at home with me. I feel heard. And so that community of people that I was able to be around at that time really helped me through that period where I was second guessing myself. And I I came out of that thinking, hey, I am a parent first, yes. But I also went to school for this. I am a teacher too. I'm an educator too. And so I bring a unique perspective to this whole situation. I am an educator. I am certified, licensed to teach children from birth through six. My husband is an educator and he's certified, licensed to teach grades 7 through 12. So we cover the gamut of K through 12 as a parental unit. And so it's really helpful now that my oldest has reached the stage where he's doing middle school, high school level work because my husband now has swooped in and he has taken control over that aspect. And it really helps me to see that the foundation that I laid for him in the elementary years are now coming to fruition as he takes on these more challenging subjects. So, for the parent who's just starting out, who feels isolated, whether your child is a toddler or whether you've decided halfway through their educational career to make this shift to homeschooling, just know that you have a community of people who are like minded, who want to support you. So I was able to find a physical community of people. We joined a forest school when my oldest was really young, and for about 2 years or so, we had this whole experience just being immersed in nature and learning through natural opportunities. And I was able to carry that through whatever we were doing when we were home, and I built a community of people that, again, were really supportive, and I really needed that support at that time. We've since outgrown that forest school, and we then went on to start a homeschooling meetup in our neighborhood. Again, we met more like minded people, and we were able to connect and have that social piece that is so, so, so important, but keeps coming up every single time we have a conversation with anyone about homeschooling. The question is always asked, oh, well, what about socialization? Well, it's so important, yes, but we lose so much of the value that comes with homeschooling when we harp on this one point, right? And so over the years, like I said, we've joined various groups, we've done different activities, we have leaned on our library so heavily, and we're so grateful to be in a place where we have a rich library with rich library resources, and they offer programs after school that allows us to continue the learning and continue to build relationships with other people outside of our family unit. And so there are many ways that homeschooling families can enrich their lives. And I really would love to see that shift made where we move away from this concept that children who are homeschooled, they are sheltered, they are in a box. Oh my gosh, it is so far from the truth. Their lives are rich with experiences. They interact with a gamut of people because they're in everyday life and they're living it. They're not in this, again, and this is no knock to anybody who's making a different educational choice for their children. I believe that homeschooling is not for everybody. It's maybe not for your lifestyle. It's not for where you are in life, in your season of life. I am okay with whatever educational choice families are making for their children because every choice is important and we all need different things at different seasons in our lives. I spent a great deal of time, especially when we first starting out, feeling like I have to explain my choice to everyone I came in contact with. I have since stopped doing that. We've made the choice that we felt was best for our children, and whether or not you agree with that choice, that's okay. I've reached the point where we're doing what's right for us. And I felt like I lost so much of my time and my energy explaining myself to people, and that's unnecessary. I know that I'm providing my children with the very best that I can do within my scope. I'm enriching their lives with various experiences, and we're just living life. And so we do not put homeschooling in this little box that only happens between 8 and 12 every day. It's an ongoing process, it's a way of life, and learning is always happening. And so for me, homeschooling just has enriched our lives and it hasn't taken anything away, which some people make it seem that way. They make it seem like, oh my gosh, I don't know how you do it. How are you with your kids all the time? Well, I love my kids. I love being with my kids. And like everybody else, I might get overstimulated. I might be overwhelmed. I'm constantly juggling many different things, whether they are business related, whether it comes to homemaking tasks, whether it's self care, whatever it is. As a parent, I go through a lot of the same emotions as you do with your family and your children. However, for me, I don't see homeschooling as a burden. And so I don't see it as a time where my children are taking away from me. The time I'm spending with them is enriching my life. And I'm getting to experience them in ways I probably wouldn't have experienced them if they spent several hours away from me 5 days a week. So for us and for our family, it works. It's not always this glamorous life. There are days when the lessons are tough. They take longer than expected. We become frustrated and things don't go as planned, or somebody is sick, or somebody's not feeling up to it that day, whatever. And so there are days when we have to pivot. We have to make changes to what we usually do, and that's okay because that is the ebb and flow of life. And so I like the freedom and flexibility that comes with homeschooling. So on this homeschooling day, like I said before, I made some cinnamon rolls for breakfast, and I also wanted to make a blueberry pie for my husband. If you've seen my previous videos, you'll remember that I've only really made apple pie. My husband is the only one who eats apple pie, who eats pies in general. And apple pie is his favorite. And so I have sort of perfected the apple pie for him. I haven't tried making anything else because that's what he's wanted, and he's the only one who's eating the pie. Well, lo and behold, my husband was like, hey, why don't you try making a different kind of pie? So when I did the monthly grocery shopping recently, I picked up some frozen blueberries. So this is my first time making blueberry pie. I'm using the same pie crust recipe that I use for my apple pie, and I will link that in the description box below. And I'm just simply changing the filling. Now, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking maybe I should have added a little bit more blueberries, or I should have cooked it down a little bit more. The filling was very runny, but after refrigeration, it actually came together really nicely. So maybe next time I will add some more blueberries, but it actually worked out pretty perfectly in the end. I also tried a new design, which did not come out perfectly, but again, I am on a path of learning, and eventually I will get this down right, you guys. If you would like a recipe for this blueberry pie, you can check the description box and I will be sure to link it there. In addition to making this blueberry pie on this day, I was also making some fresh homemade ice cream. As you know, we need to have ice cream to go with this pie, and I decided to make 2 quarts of ice cream to go with this pie as well. So now I have my pie covered up, and I'm going to put a little design on there. I had some leftover pie crust, and so I wanted to try a braided look. So I split the pie crust into 3 strips and I went for the 3-strand braid. And I think it came out pretty nice. Um, but then I also know I needed some vent spots, and I was trying to vent it, but because the filling was so liquidy, it was starting to bleed through to the top of the pie. It kind of messed up the aesthetic a little bit, but it's okay. Again, I've let go of the whole concept of perfection, and my goal is to make sure that whatever I'm making is tasty, it's delicious, you want to come back for more. So if it looks a little different, it's okay. I'm learning, you guys. So give me a little grace on that, please. So like I said, I wanted to make some fresh homemade ice cream to go with this pie for dessert for my husband for this night. So this is just me following the recipe to put together this vanilla ice cream. As you may know, I have an ice cream maker, and so this recipe that I'm following came with the ice cream machine. And if you're interested in the recipe, I will link it in the description box below. But it's very simple. It's just heavy cream with some milk, vanilla extract, and sugar. Very simple, and it produces very creamy and rich vanilla ice cream. So I'm just going to put the ingredients into my ice cream machine and get started on the next recipe. It takes about 25 minutes or so to churn this ice cream, and then as you can see, it comes out very soft. If I don't take it out of the machine when the timer goes off, it will continue to churn and just essentially go back to its liquid state. This will give me 2 quarts. I'm going to take half of the ice cream and fill a quart-sized container that will go into my freezer to harden. And I'm going to take the second half of the ice cream and make a quick ice cream pie. As you remember, I bought these pie crusts in bulk over the holiday season and I'm still working to use them up. I'm making this ice cream pie, and the topping will be a mix of peanut butter chips, chunks of chocolate, some peanuts, and some cashews as well. You guys, it tasted amazing. The creaminess of the ice cream mixed in with the bits of peanuts and cashews and chocolate. It's just a wonderful combination. And so this will be dessert for those of us who do not want blueberry pie, and this will be dessert for those of us who don't want straight vanilla ice cream. So essentially, there are 3 options for dessert tonight: blueberry pie with ice cream, just vanilla ice cream, and ice cream pie topped with chocolate chips and the works that you can see there in my little green bowl. So one of the reasons why I decided to make this video on a homeschooling day is just to show that while I might take a day on the weekend to do a lot of food prep, eventually throughout the week I'm going to have to do something. So I'm essentially in the kitchen every day doing something, prepping something. Um, I cook a large meal probably once per day. So if I make a large breakfast, for example, more than likely I will not be making anything for lunch because I make enough for breakfast and lunch, or for lunch we'll just grab something quick. In terms of dinner, I make dinner every 2 days. So when I make a whole chicken, for example, it's enough to last our family for 2 meals. So I don't have to make dinner every day. And that helps me to spread things out. If I know it's going to be a day where I have to make dinner, then I know ahead of time. If I need to take out something to defrost, I do that the night before, or I get up most days around 4 a.m. So I'll get up and I'll take whatever meat out that needs to be defrosted. I'll take that out. That's part of my rhythm. If I know I have to make breakfast, like on this day, I had to make something for breakfast, so I will start my bread machine early before everybody gets up so that by the time they wake up and they're moving around, I have something ready for them to go. Lunch, like I said, is kind of a hit and miss. If we eat a really big breakfast, then we just grab something quickly for lunch. If we eat a light breakfast, then I'm more keen to know that I have to make something more substantial for lunch. And for lunch, I might do leftovers from the night before, or I'll make something, or the children might make something like pizzadillas. And then I know for a fact that I have to make a heavy meal for dinner that day. So that's how I balance cooking for the week. In terms of other homemaking tasks like cleaning the house, doing the laundry, keeping up with repairs, that also has a rhythm. Before I go to bed most nights, if not, I don't want to say all nights because I'm not perfect, but most nights, I would say 90% of the time, before I go to bed each night, I make sure that I close out the kitchen. Our children help with chores, and so there are times when they'll do the dishes, they'll help with meal preparations, they'll, sweep or mop the floor, they're responsible for taking care of their space in terms of making their beds, etc. So they help with chores as well. But before I go to bed each night, I try to make sure that the one place that is absolutely clean is the kitchen. Dishes are done, and any leftovers is put away. Anything that needs to be done gets done before I head to bed each night. And that helps to start me off on a good foot in the morning. Like I said, most mornings I'm up between 4 and 5 a.m. And because I'm up that early, I'm able to say, okay, let's make a plan for the day. I know for a fact, do I need to make something for breakfast, or is there something already prepped for them to use? Do I need to make lunch, or is there something already prepped? Do I need to make dinner, or is there something already left, like is there leftovers? Whatever I need to do in terms of food prep for the day, I have time in the morning, I can get that prepared. Once I have food situated, then I look at other things. Do I need to do laundry that day? Do I need to clean the bathroom? Do I need to do any major deep cleaning of any space in the home? And so then I can schedule that into my day. Any major tasks that I have to complete, I have that time at 4 a.m. to really get myself situated to think about what needs to get done. And so that's how I maintain balance in my homeschool. I meal prep. I don't want to say meal prep, but I plan, right? I plan for the day what we're going to do. I have an idea of what our meals will be so that when the time comes, I'm not fumbling in the kitchen. I know exactly what we're going to be doing. In terms of major cleaning tasks, I do one major thing per day. So whether it's laundry or deep cleaning, bedroom or bathroom or whatever, that one major task gets done every day. And then, of course, homeschooling. So here you have it. This is our spread for the day. Just a few things I needed to make to get us through the remaining time of the week. Now, like I stated before, I did make 2 trays of cinnamon rolls. One of them was had for breakfast. And so this next one, I'm just glazing with some simple glaze, which I made from some powdered sugar and water. Just a tiny bit of water and powdered sugar. And this will be breakfast for the next day. So by making 2 trays, I am prepping ahead and I'm helping and leaving a gift for myself for the future. You guys, this looks so good, and it really was so good. They were soft and just what we needed on this day. Here is the completed pie. Again, I had a little bit of leakage here with the blueberries, but it's okay. It worked out fine, and I know what I want to change for next time. This was the quart-sized jar of ice cream that we had that will pair well with our blueberry pie. And this is the scrumptious ice cream pie. Both will go back into the freezer and we will have that for dessert tonight. So, thank you for spending some time with me in my kitchen today. I hope you got some insight into our family life as a homeschooling family of 3. I hope you were able to understand a little bit more how I balance homeschooling and homemaking on a weekly basis. Again, thanks for spending this time in the kitchen with me today. All the recipes that I used today will be linked in the description box below. Feel free to ask questions or leave a comment in the comment section below as well. I love to hear from you guys. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Also, check out my blog for these recipes that I have come to love. I am making these recipes accessible to you that you can access on my blog. So please feel free to check the description box for a link to my blog for your heart and home over on wix.com. Thanks again, you guys, for being here today. I look forward to seeing you again in the next one. All the best.